Hey friends, welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. I have a yard update for you guys today, and I am excited to say that we have planted some trees and we have even got started on our yard fence. So I am excited to share some of that process with you and just show you how it's been going. So come along with me. Our neighbor was so kind to give us some trees that he started from his trees just by putting these cuttings into a bucket of water, and the roots just started to grow off of the ends. And so then he gave them to us, and then we were able to get us some trees started at no cost thanks to him. I am very thankful. Chris dug the holes to plant the trees in, probably about 1.5 feet deep. They were approximately as deep as the water that they were in the 5-gallon bucket. Once planted, the dirt covered just above where the roots were. Of course, the day we needed to really get them in the ground, it was a windy day here in West Texas. We tend to have a lot of those days, especially in springtime. But I did my best to hold the trees up straight while Chris covered them up. We tamped the dirt down just using our feet because we wanted to secure the tree, but we're a little concerned about hurting the roots, so we were kind of careful with that, but we figured once we water them and the dirt can just pack around the roots good that way too. To secure the trees and make sure that they didn't blow over in the wind while they're trying to get established, we used some T-posts to drive in the ground. Then we'll be wiring the trees to the T-posts to keep them nice and straight. Let me just tell you, these air-powered post drivers are a lifesaver. Or in this case, I guess a man-saver, as this one is appropriately named. But our ground is typically so hard, it is like trying to drive through rock. We have really sandy soil, so usually when we're digging a hole for any reason, we will get it started best we can and then soak it with the water hose. And that's what we did too in the case of these trees. We would dig so far down, or Chris would, and then we would fill them up with some water and let it soak in, and then we could easily finish digging the hole. To secure the tree to the post, we just used some baling wire, but we didn't want it to harm the tree, so we cut some pieces of water hose that we had on hand because I accidentally cut the water hose when I was working over in the rock bed where I was planting and we were trenching out the area for the rock to go. I accidentally chopped the water hose in two. So we had that water hose that we used, so it's not like we just cut up a good water hose to use for the trees. There are 11 trees in total, but we are only planting 3 here on this side of the house, and so that's what we have out here right now. So we have 2 more trees to plant here, and then we will move on to another area and plant the rest of them. I'm just going to add some water to the holes where the trees are waiting to be planted so the roots don't dry out until it is their turn to get covered up. Our neighbor told us that these are willow hybrid trees. I wasn't familiar with that type of tree, so I took to Google to get some information about them. I learned some interesting things. First off, another name for them is Austree willow. I was happy to learn that they are a fast growing tree, but surprised at how large they can get. They can grow 6 to 10 feet per year. That would be amazing. And they can grow to be 50 to 70 feet tall. Now that's a big tree. They can also grow to a maximum spread of 20 to 30 feet. I might should have read about them before deciding where to plant them. These are going to be pretty close to the yard fence. Hopefully we can prune them to just be nice shade trees that will create a nice canopy for shade in parts of the yard. I also read that they are good trees to plant for windbreak. So I'm thinking we might need to get some more and plant them in a staggered row for a more natural look in different areas a little farther out from the house. If we don't prune them and space them where they can be close together at maturity, hopefully we can have some windbreaks. I would also like to add in some other trees to help the landscape look as natural as possible. Maybe a nice oak or maple here and there. I don't know. Let me know some of your favorite trees and just leave me a comment and give me some ideas of maybe some more that I might want to plant. Anyway, it sounds like these trees are pretty easy growers, which is a must for me. Hopefully, I won't kill them. They grow in zones 4 through 9 and require full sun to partial shade and seem to be highly adaptable to different types of soil, although preferring slightly acidic or slightly alkaline, moist, well-draining soil. I do not even know the acidity of our soil. It is well draining though, so our neighbor just told us to try to drown them and they will be fine. So we shall see how they do. We ended up planting 2 more trees out by where our garden was last year and where I plan to put another garden this year. And then we also put 3 trees over to the other side of the house, which will be on the opposite side of the yard. And then we planted 3 trees in the backyard around the chicken coop to give them some shade. And I am so excited to say we have finally gotten started on our yard fence. We are using 4x4 square posts for the fence posts, and we're going to be making a picket fence using 2x2 square pickets. The first post that we're setting is on the west side of the house, and it will set at the corner of the garage that we're planning to build. This may look strange to some, but Chris and I have set a lot of fence posts, and this is kind of the teamwork we've developed. He pours the concrete and I make sure the post is straight. We can both be a little meticulous when it comes to doing things like this, so what can I say? And the rooster seems to be cheering us on. Chris dug the holes for the post about 2 feet deep, and we used 1 sack of concrete for every hole. Yeah, that's good. That's good. We worked it out where all the sprinkler heads will sit just inside the fence, and so they will hopefully not get the fence too wet and only the grass wet. The tree you can see on the left will be the one tree that sits inside the yard. So it should get plenty of water from the sprinkler system, and Chris is going to be running drip lines to the trees that sit on the outside of the fence. After taking lots of different measurements and using stake and string, we laid out some bricks because I'm planning a brick walkway from our driveway up to the front door. So that way we could kind of get a visual of how far apart we wanted the fence posts at the entry. So while this part of the process looks a mess with garden hoses strung everywhere to water the trees and string strung across the yard everywhere, We were just happy to see all the progress as it began to get dark, and we called it a day. Some time has passed, and although we're still nowhere near finished, I wanted to share some more of the progress. We have a few more fence posts up. They're not all concreted. Here's a view from the front. I'm so excited. It's actually beginning to look like a yard. Chris was able to get some drip lines ran to the trees, although they are not buried yet, so you can kind of see the lines still laying on top of the ground. But check out these trees. They are budding out and getting lots of green on them. Here you can see where we have some sprinkler heads, one inside the fence and one will be outside the fence. In theory, that's supposed to help keep the fence from getting wet by still watering the grass on the outside of the fence and the grass on the inside of the fence. So we will see how that works. Now let's go up to the house and check out how the flowers are doing. I have some good news and some not so good news. Starting with the good news, this rose bush just surprises me year after year. It is looking so pretty. Again this spring, it's getting lots of rose buds and pretty roses on it. Can you believe all this new growth just since I pruned it back so much earlier this year? Two of my little boxwoods are doing great. They are looking good and they're growing a little bit, but the third one over there, I'm a little bit worried about it. It got some frostbite before I got them planted, and so after I planted them, I cut the dead parts off of that one so it was smaller anyway, but it is just not looking good. It doesn't really look like it's growing, so I'm not sure what to do for it. And my planter here that I planted all the different things in is, well, some of it is growing and then others is not looking so good. But I'm hopeful that they're gonna come on. We did have a little bit of cold weather that kind of hurt them, and plus the wind was just horrible at times. So I'm hoping that they will go ahead and come on and do better. I added some salvia right here that I dug up out of the yard when we regraded the yard and took everything out over in front of the little house porch. We thought probably everything over there had died, but as you can see here, I have more salvia coming up. So Whatever comes up, I'm gonna just dig up and find a place for it. My purple lantana is starting to bloom. It's still so small and scraggly looking, but it is starting to grow and getting lots of green leaves and now some purple flowers, so I think it's gonna be okay. The dianthus is doing good. It's hanging in there. The petunias and the asparagus fern is doing good. My red geranium, although it looks a little scraggly, I think I just need to deadhead it, but it's still blooming. Now here's something that I'm a little embarrassed by, but my ferns look absolutely horrible and I believe something ate them. So I don't know if it was moths, caterpillars. I know when I water them there for a little while, I would have 3 to 5 moths would fly out of them like they were maybe taking cover inside of them. So I don't know if it had anything to do with that, or I was thinking that the wind was just getting a hold of them too good there for a little while, but now to look at them, it looks like they've been lunch for something. So I'm not sure if I just need to spray them with something and they will hopefully come back, or if I just need to call it good and start over and put something pretty in the pots. I still have a purple lantana that I haven't planted anywhere. Still trying to figure out the perfect spot. But all in all, I'm pretty pleased with all the flowers and how everything is growing and blooming around here. So we will just keep chipping away at everything, and hopefully the next time I give an update on the landscaping and anything outside, we will have our yard fence up and our front yard done. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to do so. This is such a great community and I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, friends. I will see you in the next one.